Graeme from Rugby Forecast. Super Saturday is on the horizon. Quite the Saturday it is looking. How are things, man, before we get into the numbers?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm, just in that slightly depressed state that I think every Scotsman is probably at the end of the Six Nations tournament. When you've not really got anything to play for, but a little bit of pride, basically. So yeah. How are you doing? How are things
No,
in New
I'm
Zealand?
good. Looking forward to getting my sleep schedule back to kind of normal. That part I'm looking forward to. But this Super Saturday, with so many teams still alive in this final week, albeit we'll get into it in a sec, but France are obviously pretty heavy favorites, but still the fact that so many teams are alive, I don't know,
Yeah.
it just makes for that there's no real dead rubber game this weekend.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, obviously, yep, Scotland are still technically alive.
Mathematically in it.
Yeah, mathematically in it as we that's the hope. There's still a chance. But yeah, no, exactly. I don't think you can have any. It'd be very difficult to have five teams, I'd imagine, in with a chance of winning
Yeah.
it. So four is probably the maximum.
Mm.
But yeah, especially and the way you're teeing off through it, going through almost by, Ireland have probably got, I think, the least chance of winning it, and then England, and then France, and it goes through in that sort of fashion, basically. So it's reminds me of I don't know, I can't remember, we talked about it earlier, the 2014, 2015 tournament when
Right.
I think Wales played first in Italy and absolutely battered them, 60 points, I think they put on them. And then Ireland unfortunately battered Scotland. And then there was that mental game between England and France where it finished, I think England had to win by 25 and France scored a last minute try in the end to take it to a 20-point margin or something like that. It was crazy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it reminds me, kind of that Super Saturday, basically. So it could be, yeah, I'm hoping for that, basically. Obviously, with Scotland doing the business this time rather than capitulating. So,
Well, yeah, you guys are either going to be, I mean, if either England or Ireland win, obviously your guys' chances go out the window, but you're still in that kind of kingmaker role where you could be the deciding factor in who wins the Six Nations. So
yeah, well,
no matter what
exactly. I
happens, there's
mean,
something to play for.
depending on how many bonus points Ireland win by, and if England beat Wales and things like that, then obviously, yeah, Scotland victory could hand other people the title. So Scotland, yeah, maybe we'll take some bribes or something about the sort of points that we'll give away. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, Scotland, I'd say, the Argos not giving them much chance, but Scotland seem to line up well against France. To kind of, we've talked about this kind of rock, paper, scissors between,
Yeah.
Scotland, England, and Ireland or something, I think before. But Scotland and France are kind of both scissors or something. I don't know, but they just
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
they just crazy teams playing against each other, and so anything can happen, really.
Well, you guys are being written off, but I was looking at the recent history between the sides. I mean, like last year was 4 points, the year before over in France was 3 points, and then you guys beat them over in France like not that long ago, 2021. So you've
Yeah.
had a victory in France over France more recently than most people have.
Exactly, especially, I mean, one of the last teams to beat France in Paris, I think, Scotland, technically.
Yeah.
And yeah, and all the games we played recently, there was two warm-up games in the pre-World Cup we played last time. I mean,
You
that
guys
was
got one each.
one each in that. We beat them in Murrayfield, but that was a crazy, I think France went 21-0 up or something, and then we came back and won. And then in France, it was almost a similar, the opposite. We nearly came back in, or the opposite. Yeah, I don't think we were 21-0 up, but we gave them a good game, and it was pretty close at the end. So yeah, I mean, anything can happen in those games. So
Exactly.
and Scotland are obviously famous for going to sleep at the moment. So if we do get a big halftime lead, which I don't think we will, there's every chance we'll give it up as well. So
who knows what's going to happen? Right, you got some numbers for us. Do we want to have a look at where we were at the start of the competition and where we're kind of at now? Because I'm sure people are going to throw it back in your face that you were picking Ireland, weren't you? You were 99% picking Ireland.
I'll hold my hands up to that. Ireland were the favourites. We had them, so that you can see there, that's the total Grand Slam and first place. So the overall chance of Ireland winning the tournament was 39%, 40%. So just under one, over 1 and 3, under 1 and 2, whenever you want to look at it.
Right.
France were 31%. So not a huge difference in there.
Much in it.
Not much in it. So, I did say France could win it. Although they haven't won it yet. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was I think the general thing in that saying Ireland and France are the two top teams. They're pretty clear in amongst the green there. England and Scotland were in the middle, battling out third and fourth, and Italy and Wales are down the bottom. So
Well,
generally,
barring Ireland and France's positions, everything else lines up so far.
yeah, well, exactly. No, England are actually very likely to finish second. So I think the way this tour, the way it was probably going to work out is, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think what the permutations are, but basically at the moment, England are very likely to finish second, and it was ahead of last weekend as well. It was just like England are probably going to finish second, and whoever of Ireland and France wins is going to finish first, and that's kind of what it looks like. Ireland won last weekend, so they're going to win. They've got a very good chance of winning now. So yeah, I mean, the Irish were favourites because they had their difficult games at home. They had England at home and obviously won that game, and then they had the French at home and they lost that game. What's kind of screwed the Irish over a little bit though is the bonus point situation. So they they didn't get any points out of that French game, so they lost that game 5-0 in match points. They lost that game 5-0, and that was a very unlikely situation. There was a reasonable chance for French win. I think the algorithm is about 1 in 3. There weren't many universes where it saw the French winning 5-0 basically. That's what's really swung the tournament in the Irish favour, in the French favour. Sorry.
French favour. Yeah, not only France to get a bonus. Well, not only for France to get a bonus point, but also for Ireland to get nothing.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that's kind of screwed the Irish over from in their kind of battle with the English is them letting the English get a losing bonus point at the end of at the start of the tournament. That first game,
death of that game. Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, in a few circles at the very, at that very moment, like, could that bonus point be costly? Oh God, nah, probably not. England, they're not going to do anything. Well, here we are.
It might cost them second place. I've been seeing where things up, but at the moment that looks like that because the English got 2 bonus points. Did they lose by less than 7 as well? I can't remember now. Actually, I think they lost by less than 7. So they, anyway, they scored 2 consolation tries right at the end to get 4 points, 4 try bonus point, and I think they came away with the losing bonus point as well. Yeah, so
it was 27-22. So yeah, that's right.
Exactly. So yeah, and if you look at the points difference at the moment in the tournament, I mean, England, if you think if Ireland hadn't given England that, England would be sitting on 13, and Ireland would be in control of their own destiny against England as well, basically, or at least against England, not against France, obviously. But they would be, if we beat Italy, England can't catch us, basically.
Yeah.
So that's handed, not handed England, but it's given, a lot of advantage to England. So, Ireland, I think they had the ball at the end there. They should have just kicked it out. I think they were going for another try or something. So,
right.
It was.
Well, imagine if France had beaten England. I mean, geez, their points difference is bloody 106 at the moment. They're miles ahead of everybody in that regard, but they just dropped some ball.
Exactly. How many points would they scored in that game if they just kept the ball over the try line a few times? And their tries, they're on 23 tries at the moment, I think, 24 tries, I think. And England hold the record at the moment with 28, I think, in 2003. So they're in, France, roughly about that. I think if France score 4 tries this weekend, I think they might equal the record or take the record. And especially, given the way the tournament is nowadays, that's probably a harder achievement than it was back in the day. So yeah, I mean,
so lots on the line, not just kind of trophies, but a bit of history.
Records abound. I think Louis BRA as well. He's already on 7 tries. If he gets a try this weekend, he'll break the records for at least the Six Nations. Maybe not the entire tournament, but yeah.
Yeah.
So records,
a freak in the best kind of context of the word. So how is the algo looking now compared to what it was prior to the start of the tournament?
We are very heavy on France, basically.
That's a big old green bar for the French.
Big old green bar for the French. 85% chance of the tournament for them. And that is largely because their points difference, basically. They hold a 86 points advantage over the nearest competitor, England. So realistically, a win for them would take them to a win over Scotland takes them to 20 match points. Even if England bonus point Wales, they will also end up in 20, and they're not going to beat Wales by more than 86 points. That's going to be a terrible day for any Welshman in Cardiff if they lose to England by 86 points. So realistically, any French win, and they
Should do
win
the
the
job.
tournament basically. Given that even if Ireland bonus points Italy, they will end up on 19, and so therefore cannot catch France if they win.
Yeah.
So again, those Irish bonus points catching up with them a little bit. So yeah, that's why France are such big favourites, because we have them as you can see, very big favourites at home against Scotland. The reason it's not 81% is there are a few universes where France lose but still win the tournament, or draws or things like that, basically, but not especially likely in there. So yeah, that's why. And yeah, as I said, England very likely to finish second, with the Irish in third, it looks like. So
okay, and the Irish sliver has 2.4%. That's gone a bit smaller.
Yeah, it's just a huge shift from last weekend. I mean, last weekend we had, I think the Irish were, it was about 57%, 60% chance of winning the title. And it is, I mean, it is because of those bonus points. Obviously, the win would have just basically given them the title, and there was a good chance of winning the game last weekend, about 2 and 3 chances of them winning the game last weekend. But it's the bonus points is the main one. If they'd got even just one bonus point from that game, I mean, I haven't run the simulations, but they would have had a much bigger chance of winning the title, because it would mean that they, could be in with a, if they win with a bonus point and France don't bonus point Scotland, then they're up there basically. So yeah.
So what's the algo got for this weekend's games? What's the first one? First one is Ireland up against Italy, right?
Ireland up against Italy, and no surprises probably to everybody. Very heavy on the Irish. 85%, 84% chance of winning by what's that? 25 points basically. So it's pretty heavy on the Irish. Italy, I don't know. What would you say, Italy? How do you feel about Italy this tournament? They've shown glimpses, but then also
it's been a mixed bag. I mean, you would have felt going into the tournament that beating Wales would have been their kind of, like, that's the minimum based on where the two teams were at, but they've not done anything after that. You know what I mean? Like, they've been given an absolute walloping by the French, which may have been a bit of the French unleashing some frustration from the England game. They kind of caught them at the wrong time, but yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag.
Really showed a bit of fight against the Scottish in the first game, I think.
That's right.
It got a bit tense for a bit, but then kind of pulled away at the end.
Yeah.
And then, they were kind of in there against England. It just got...
Yeah, they were in there for a half against England, but...
Too many mistakes, too many missed lineouts, too many things. And I feel like, Ireland aren't a team that will give Italy any chances. So I feel like they'll be, should be very confident of an Irish win there, basically. So that'd be, it's could be a, I don't know if Ireland are going to go out the same as the French, basically, with something to prove.
Unleash a bit of frustration. I feel sorry for the Italians. That'll be two times in a row they've kind of had a team doing a bit of the backlash on them.
Backlash. So yeah, and especially if Ireland are trying to, they need to get a bonus point. They want to get some points difference and things like that, just to boost their chances. They're not going to catch the French point difference, but they could make it difficult for England if they don't get a bonus point and things like that. So yeah.
Well, that's the other good thing about the way the fixtures line up, is that the order of the games is also perfect. Like, if the French game was first, then the other two really don't matter. But the way this goes, the Ireland game puts the situation in, like, England know where they're at, and then England's game happens, and then France know where they're at. So
it's perfect. It's perfect. So it's real jeopardy. The schedulers are geniuses, aren't they? So it's
So Wales and England, you've obviously got England as relatively heavy favourites for that one.
Yep. It says, it's slightly under the threshold. As you say, this one's backing Ireland. This one's just leaning towards England. there's not much difference in the percentages there, but just it's marginally less, largely less in England. I would say, this is just sort of mathematically what the English chances are based on the strength of the teams, how they've been performing in the last few days and the last few sort of months, years basically. I don't know. I feel like there's quite a few of my English friends are very nervous about this game. It's got a stirring Welsh performance written all over it, basically. So if Wales are going to produce a game to break their 16-match unwinning run,
England at home would be the time to do it, right?
England's at home on Super Saturday in the Six Nations to stop England having a chance of winning the title. I mean, how many more sort of carrots do you need, basically, as a Welshman?
Yeah.
And Wales have had a difficult tournament. They've had 3 away games. I think that's something that maybe people kind of forget a little bit. When they were looking at that Irish performance, when Wales were really good.
That's when they were at home.
That's when they were at home. The Welsh are good at home in the Six Nations. They're really good at home. I mean, look at the Scotland game last year. That was an absolute awful game for us. But Wales can do anything at home. And, if they get a try, get some points early, the Millennium Stadium starts going, there's very few places that as
like
an
that,
opposition you want to be, basically. So yeah, I think, as I say, mathematically, that's what it is. I think Wales probably have more chance than that, personally. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay. But the algo always beats you. Beats your kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, who am I to say this? Just me personally saying what I think, basically. But yeah, so the algo is much better than me. So
yeah. And then France, Scotland. So obviously France pretty heavy favorite. Score says 20-10.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing a little bit is obviously, France have more chance than England do, but the margin is less. So people always comment on that a little bit and they say, why does that happen? The models for the scoreline and the chance of victory are decoupled. They don't run, they run on the same data, but they're not linked in any other way, basically. Right. So what it's saying is that France have got a better chance of winning, but the scoreline is probably going to be tighter. Whereas it's kind of saying the England-Wales game, England have got less chance of winning, but the scoreline could be all over the place, basically. So, which maybe isn't too surprising for a Wales-England game in Cardiff. Although France-Scotland is generally pretty volatile as well. So maybe it's. Yeah. I mean, there's not much in it, but yeah, I think it's pretty heavy on France. That's probably not too surprising, given the relative strengths of the team and home advantage. Scotland do line up against France quite well, as we discussed.
And you guys have kind of got the pressure off. Like, all the pressure is going to be on France with that one. Scotland can just go out and do their thing. Like, if Scotland lose, nobody's going to bat an eyelid. But if they win, it'd be, phenomenal.
It'd be massive. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, Scotland's. I don't think we definitely don't perform well when the pressure's on us, but when the pressure's off us, don't know if we perform that well either, to be honest. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not holding. It feels like from a Scottish perspective, we don't often. We've been in these games before when it's sort of like, oh, can we stop this team who are going for a big win? No. But we'll see. I think it's going to be an exciting game. As I say, I do think Scotland and France produce good rugby. They're two big sort of running teams, basically, so it should be good.
Yeah,
I think the French pack just is way better than the Scottish pack. So the back lines are both very exciting, but I think France are just too much muscle for us up front. So yeah, but hopefully we can play them at our game rather than theirs and make it into a competition. And depending on what's happened earlier on in the tournament, earlier on in the day, can produce some nice jeopardy for everybody involved. I mean, it'd be great if sort of Ireland and England are sort of sitting on similar points totals, and then depending on how much either we win or France win by, there's like people are jumping up and down all over the place depending on points. It'd be really exciting. So
Yeah.
We'll see.
I know it's not going to happen, but if England were to lose and Ireland were to lose and you guys were to beat like the French by like 50 odd or whatever you guys need to do it by, that would be the most Scottish way to win a Six Nations ever, when you're dead and buried.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't even want to. I mean, it would be great, but then we're going to watch Ireland batter Italy by 50 points in the first game.
Yeah.
And go, oh well, never mind.
Yeah. Oh well,
But
that was
it would be
nice. Well, it
hilarious.
lasted.
I think somebody said, I was reading a few Reddit threads, and they were talking about this, and they were saying it would be the most Scottish thing actually to have this happen, to be 50 points up against the French,
and then to still stuff it up. Yeah.
And then to lose, give away a last minute try, and just like or whatever, and something like that. That would be the most Scottish thing. So,
right.
We'll see. But I don't think there's not very many universes where we have to entertain that possibility, basically.
No, that's right. After game one, it's probably that thought can probably go. Is there any value with the bookies this weekend?
Funny you should ask. Scotland. Yeah, you can see the games here. So this is all the percentages that we've been discussing, and then you can see here in the column, this is an average of what the bookmakers' odds are, and so you can see you get an indication the bookies' odds are just percentages, so you can sort of reverse engineer the percentages. So you can see the bookies are even heavier in Ireland than we are, which is again maybe not too surprising. Average of 1.07. There's no value in that. Likewise on Italy. Just you can take a long shot on Italy if you want. They technically are value, but that's a long shot basically. Similar with Wales, the game. It's interesting, although I say I've been speaking to a lot of my friends and English friends, they're quite nervous about it. It would imply that people are not nervous about putting their money on England because the odds are pretty favorable on them. The odds are heavier on England than we are, although also they are also heavier on Wales, but that's just the way the bookies work. So there we go. And more chance of the draw as well. So just everything going wrong there. But Scotland are the value bet this weekend. We give them, I say, a 16% chance of winning. The bookies are 11%. Best odds are 11 at Betfair. That means that's a good value bet, basically. Personal caveat is to never bet on Scotland. So I'll leave that up to your viewers, up to your own discretion, basically. But mathematically speaking, that's
where the value lies.
The value is. From a tournament perspective, it's actually on England. There's some good odds out there on England. As we give them a reasonable chance of winning. So those odds of 11 look pretty favourable. And you can get odds of 999 on Scotland. So
wow.
Again, a value bet there if you want, but again, caveats apply. So
of course.
Yeah, it's it should be. I mean, obviously we're pretty heavy on France, but it's it should be. I think, as you say, the way the fixtures line up means that there's always something to play for in every match. There's no dead rubbers. The way it goes through means that every game, we expect it to happen. And yes, we'll go through and we see these victories, and then as you say, the pressure will be on France. I mean, they're expected to win, but can you go out there and do it in front of an expectant French crowd? So yeah, it should be a great final weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me as well. And the final game kicks off at like 9 a.m. here in New Zealand, which is kind of that's really nice. That's really nice timing. So
you'll be up all night then.
I mean, I'll be up for the first one at bloody 3:15 anyway, so I'll be knackered by that point. But like in terms of getting a New Zealand audience, which is traditionally not massive followers of the Six Nations, like if there was ever a time to tune into a game, 9 a.m. Sunday morning over here in NZ is like, with the two great teams who play attacking rugby for the title on the line, probably, it's going to be massive. So.
Well, fantastic. Well, I hope it gets a good audience. Do the pubs open early for that, or is it not that big a draw?
Yeah, no, the pubs probably won't open early for that one, but we have a bit of breakfast, coffee and some like bacon or something with some rugby is probably a good way to start the day. For anyone wanting to check out all the stuff you've been showing on screen, where can they find it, Graeme?
Sportsforecast.com, as you can see the URL up there. So on the website, there's a whole bunch of other things. You can see all the internationals, Women's Six Nations kicking off soon as well, immediately afterwards, and then obviously all the domestic stuff, Super going on, all the tournaments coming up. It's all there.
Yep.
Super Rugby has obviously been pretty mental.
Going gangbusters. Yep.
Yeah, going gangbusters. I mean, I think we discussed at the start of the tournament how the Blues are the favourites.
I probably want to talk about the Blues as much as you want to talk about Scotland's Six Nations campaign, to be fair.
Yeah, well, you've got a few more games to rectify it though, so
Yeah,
we'll see. But it's
we'll see.
Yeah, I have been following that with interest. That is, the chances have just been going all over the place, basically. So it's a pretty
those games have been genuinely hard to predict, which is maybe not as good for the algo, but it's certainly good for the competition to have a bit of jeopardy.
Yeah, it has been. You can see a lot of red down here, basically. So that's it's been tricky, but that means, as you say, it's an exciting tournament, good for the neutrals. So yeah,
exactly right. Well, Graeme, cheers once again for coming along. Sorry about us not talking about Scotland's phenomenal chances in this final game, but hey, maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Yeah, I doubt it, but we'll I will come back next year with the same level of enthusiasm and promise at the start of the tournament, and then we can do a similar video at the end of the tournament next year. So yeah.
Look forward to it, man. All right. Well, cheers again for coming along, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Enjoy the rugby. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.